Hi, this is Alkemy with the Bulletin Board Heroes here at Zach's Traders Cafe for Monday the 25th of November. Starting with the FTSE 100, which is resting basically on that October resistance line there, 8260, and above that looking for obviously 8400, the main post-summer resistance. Best case is that we can get up to the top of the rising trend channel from this time last year, as high as 8620 by the end of the year, nuclear war permitting. On the downside, hoping that at least we'll stay above the 50-day line, 82.20, or at worst, the 200-day moving average, 81.25. RSI at 60, so in the right place for further gains, at least up towards 8400. Moving on to the DAX, and here the position is that we were hitting its October resistance line there at 19,500. We want to stay above the 50-day line, rising at 19,200, and while we do that, looking for top of the channel from last year, 20,600, as a best case scenario target for the end of the year. Remember, obviously, this time of the year, November, December, tends to be the best time in the market. RSI at 55, so looking good for another attempt at breaking through that October resistance line. Moving on to the Dow, which obviously we looked at yesterday, but we're looking at again today here. Very, very strong indeed, breaking through the top of that rising trend channel from last year. The level there around 44,000 and looking for 45,200 at that August resistance line projection as the best case scenario target. Ideally, we stay above the 50-day line, 42,600. In the meantime, even if there's a rug pull, we're helped by the way that the RSI is bounced above neutral 50, which tends to be a very strong signal. On to Bitcoin, where I suppose everyone and their mother is waiting for the market to break through 100,000, having another go at the moment, actually. A nice bull flag here. Bull flag in the sense that we're well above the floor of the flag there at around 95,700, is well above the old peak, 93,800. And while that's the case, looking for a break of 100,000 and then going up to the upper parallel of that April resistance line there at 120,000, maybe as a best of case scenario end of year target. Keep that in purple just to differentiate the situation. Early and end of day close back below the old or the initial November peak there, but take us back down to the floor of the last bull flag near 88,000. Moving along to gold, which has revived itself quite nicely, and here well above the 50-day moving average, 2680. Above that, we were looking for a break of 2730, which we had on a weekly close basis. That means it looks as though it's relatively safe to call this market up towards 2850 by the end of next month. Worst case, I suppose, is we have to test down towards 2600 again, the floor of that channel from February, but the way that we are at the moment seems as though 2670 or so and the 50-day line will stem any losses. RSI at 60, so in a good place for further gains. Just thought it's worth looking at the pound again, given the current situation and current situation with the petition, perhaps. Here we've got the market well below the June support there, 126.10. The longer we stay below that, then we're obviously looking at a dive towards 124, even lower, which is April support and 2024 support as well. Difficult to see what would encourage this market to rise. Slight hint of positive divergence there with the lower low for the last couple of sessions, but RSI staying the same. So possibility we get an end of day close back up on 126.10. We're looking at a bear trap rebound, but early days yet on that. Moving along to the stocks and starting off with Alkemy, where we noted the V-shaped bull flag and a gap close buy signal on Friday. That was excellent, 107, so closing above that, and nearly up to the highs of 132 and a bit. The view at the moment is that the longer we stay above what is our second target there at 123, the greater the chance of a move up to as high as 193 by the end of next month. Obviously, funding potential in the mix there. I think they're looking for $25 million. As a convertible loan. RSI, well, the RSI is overbought, but the 50 and 200-day lines both rising. That means we're in the run-up to a golden cross, probably a week or so away, and the run-up to a golden cross tends to be the strongest part in the cycle. Moving on to Aptamer, which I've looked at quite a few times, and here can see that we've hit our initial target here, the 0.35 level, which is the top of a rising trend channel base from August. Above that on an end-of-day close basis, which we might get. Looking for 0.52 by the end of next month. Basically, that's the upper parallel of that rising trend channel base, and that would also take out the 200-day line just below, which we haven't been above since well, back in 2021, which seems to be, which is obviously quite a long time there on that. Bitcoin having a bit of a revival today, and that means that some of our proxies to Bitcoin are doing well at the moment. The first one is Coinsilium, which is just in a little bull flag at the moment. So the floor of the flag 4.2 pence, and we're at the top of it. We were looking for 5 pence by the end of next month. Looks like we'll get that by the end of this month, and that means that we can upgrade the situation to a target of 8 pence by the end of next month, while we remain above the previous target there at around 3.9 pence. Moving on to Creightons, and here you can see that we've maintained the momentum after the gap higher that we had on the 13th of November, and looking for the shares to hit the resistance line projection there from back in May last year at 44 pence. Hopefully by, well, actually might be able to squeeze that in by the end of this month, while we remain above recent resistance at 33 pence. Above 33, looking for 44 over the next week or two. On to CleanTech Lithium, where I suppose the market may be waiting for news on the ASX listing, or potential ASX listing. Neckline resistance there at 10.5 pence. Above that, looking for the shares to at least head up to the floor of the gap there from last month, 11.5 pence, but ideally we get up to as high as 14 pence over the next 2 to 4 weeks to fill that October gap. Nice uptrend line in the RSI window as well, helping the cause on this what looks like a W-shaped reversal on CleanTech. On to a bit of a outlier situation, which is CapEx, and here potential of a rising trend channel base. Obviously 2 up days don't make a summer, but above recent neckline resistance at 0.14, looking for 0.19 at the top of that rising trend channel from back in October. Hopefully that would happen over the next week or so. Interesting situation at Europa, in the sense that one was probably not looking for this to be a potential riser, but we've just filled the gap there, or filling the gap there, up to 0.85. End of day close above 0.85 could take us up to the top of that broadening triangle from March, as high as 1.1 pence by the end of next month. Ideally we stay up above 0.8 pence, the initial November peak. In the meantime, we've also got bullish divergence there, so lower low there for October, for November versus October, and higher RSI trace. On to Pharaoh-Alloy, which came up with its carbon black substitute, which is obviously very, very exciting. Here we've got a situation where we retrace from 9 pence after filling that gap from back in this time last year, and while we're above the September resistance at 6.25 pence, looking for not only a retest of the best levels, but also potentially as high as that October 2023 resistance line projection at 11.5 pence by the end of this year, by the end of December. The other point to note is that the 50 and 200 day lines are both rising now, which suggests we're in the run up to a golden cross. So this looks as though this move will have legs while we're above the 6 pence area. Moving on to Greatland, which seems to be trying its best to rehabilitate itself. We've had a few false dawns in trying to break the 7 to 7.5 pence area. Having another go now, which looks like it may be successful after the higher low that we had for November. The other point to note is we've had 3 days on the 200-day moving average at 6.7 pence, and it means that we can now bring in a higher target, 8.5 pence, on any end-of-day close through 7.5, the high today, 7.45. So the shares just having a look there to see whether they can get through the 7.5 pence zone resistance for on a sustained basis. I covered Goldstone yesterday, and happy to say that it's the top riser of the day as I speak. And here, the rising 50-day line, the key reversal up on the 20th of November, did the trick. We broke neckline resistance around 1.15 pence, and we're looking for up to 2.2 pence by, well, we were looking for it by the end of next month. We might get it by the end of this month. Ideally, we stay above that 200-day line at 1.5p in the meantime. Moving on to one of the most horrible stocks you can chart, and probably horrible in many other ways as well, which is ITV. But here we've got a bear trap gap reversal from below the April support there at 68p, so that is an interesting one to watch. Initial target here, hopefully up towards 77p and that July resistance line. But if the bear trap works, then hopefully we'll be back up towards the 80s. Ideally, the no end of day close back below 68p. Another rather larger stock that we normally look at is Ithaca, and the reason for including it is the way we've had two unfilled gaps to the upside over the last 3 sessions. But knocking on the door of the 200-day moving average at £1.20. Above that, looking for up to £1.43 at the top of that broadening triangle from May by the end of next month. Ideally, we stay above the £1.10 level, the resistance on the way down. In the meantime, on to an obvious winner from the crypto rally, which is KR1. Bit surprising that the shares retraced so much from that peak on the 12th of November. That would have flushed out most weak hands, or anybody else, in fact. Unfilled gap to the upside today. V-shaped bull flags. It looks as though we've got an Alchemy type setup here, looking for the top of that broadening triangle from this time last year as high as £1.26 by the end of next month. Obviously, we'd like to stay above. Resistance on the way down around 77p on an end-of-day close basis. In the meantime, double bounce for the RSI above neutral 50 suggests that this could be a decent move, especially as we already had a gap higher to start the month. Moving on to the last three. First one is Mkango, and here decent RNS today, and the shares hitting our target there again, which is the top of that broadening with that rising trend channel base, just shy of 8p. End of day close above 8p, and we're looking for a fresh target as high as 10.5p by the end of next month. Ideally, we stay above the 200-day line at 6.25, whatever happens. On to Synairgen, which I look at with a certain degree of trepidation at the moment. Could be a false break of the 200-day line there at 5p, but an end of day close above the October resistance at 5.3p could be the start of a move towards 8.5p, although at the moment it's difficult to see what would do that. The other positives are the way we've had multiple bounces at and above the rising 50-day line, and we've had a bounce, an extended bounce, at and above the neutral 50 RSI as well, so maybe that is a leading indicator on a move to the upside. Finishing off with a stock which I don't think anybody's really heard of, Zentra, probably because it changed its name or something like that, but here we've got a broadening triangle base, the top of the April triangle there, heading for 13p. Possibly we might get that by the end of next month, although at the moment the best we can say is that we need to stay above that rising 50-day line at 5.3p. That's it for me today. More updates tomorrow.